Hi, art friends. Thank you so much for joining me on this online journey. And in this journey, we're going to focus on photography and, in particular, Native American inspiration, culture, and art and artifacts. So, thank you so much, and I hope you get. So, the goals of these photos were as follows. They were taken throughout the state of New York at various events and museums, including the Powwow at Anthony Wayne, the Iroquois Museum at House Cavern, and the Mohawk Historic Site in Fonda. And as you can see, there are several tribes represented in the photos. And the goal was for a combination of visual effect, since it is a photography project. So there might be more than one tribal representation in one slide. And I tried to combine the photos to emphasize color themes and patterns and tell a story in that way. So in this first set of photographs, you'll see we have similar color themes throughout, and there is an emphasis on pattern and the combination of light and darkness in them to create that contrast. So you'll see in the stained glass with the turtle, we have the contrast of that dark edging, almost as if the lines were drawn in Sharpie to provide that emphasis on the color. And there are very similar colors in the effect on the right-hand side that I wanted to play off of and create a little bit of a visual harmony and balance within the two pictures, especially together. If we take a look at the next set of slides, I tried to achieve that same balance. I took colors that were the same, I took textures that were similar, and I tried to put them together on one slide, even though my visual impact or the main idea of what I was taking a photo of or my focal point was different. So you'll see, although my focal point was a person on the left hand side and his beadwork on the right hand side, there's a lot of echoing back of the forms and the colors themselves. And you can see too, almost in the browns of the headdress, echoed in the browns of the pine tree. So I kind of wanted to harmonize those and bring those together on the same slide. Now, in this particular set of photos, we see artifacts. And one of the things that I tried to achieve, because this was in a downstairs area that didn't have a lot of light. So what I decided to do was go with that and to blend out the edges and to create softness for impact and make them look almost like they were a drawing or a painting of artifacts instead of an actual photo. So I decided to kind of work with what I had and to go with it. The one thing I like too is that the pottery has kind of soft lines and edges because of the way that it's created, versus the arrowheads on the left hand side, which have more sharp corners, and the texture is a little sharper because it's obviously made of rock. So I liked the combination of those ideas, and I wanted to show that here. Although I will say, you see almost the same colors within the pottery as well as the arrowhead. So I wanted to bring that out too. Now, these are some of my favorite types of artifacts. I love, they're squash blossom necklaces. And as the name implies, squash blossom, they are meant to look like a blossom or a little flower, as you can see from the pattern and the texture of the beads on the sides. And again, this was in another spot with not a lot of light. So I just did, again, kind of go with that. And even though I wanted to emphasize the lines of the patterns, I kept the overall light and color pretty soft. Now, here we have some more artifacts. And with this one, I tried to provide some contrast. So there's all those horizontal lines and a very strong pattern on the left. And then on the right-hand side, we have the softness again of the pottery. And in this case, it's more simplicity. You can see from the sign, it says that they're prehistoric Mohawk jugs or vases. So in this case, they're a lot different than the ones that we just saw in the previous slide because they do not have a lot of painting and texture on them. They're really there just to show as far as their shape and their form, the simplicity of what we're looking at. So that's why I really enjoyed looking at these particular examples of pottery, was because they were so different from the slide before. Now, the last slide we're going to look at is a combination of turtle elements. As you can see, the turtle and the shapes and the patterns are the focal point. And I really liked how these were two renditions of a similar theme. The turtle being a theme throughout because it was very important to the Iroquois and to the Native Americans who lived in these lands, especially in New York State. So I just like seeing a lot of different renditions or examples of that motif or that pattern, that type of animal. So I thought this was a really cool combination of the way that we could put things together, that every artist has their own voice, every artist has their own idea of how to show these elements. So I thought that was a cool way of showing that too.